Hey everybody, Cheryl again. I wanted to video something that I did, not intentionally, but I took the sessions movement back apart because it was slowing down. The time was losing energy as it went up the train. There were times that it would stop and the verge wasn't, neither side of the verge was touching the escapement wheel, so obviously it was losing pressure. Not pressure, but it's early in the morning and I'm not a morning person, so words don't come to me like they should. More coffee, more coffee. It was losing the momentum from the spring as it went up the wheels, and so I had some pivot wear. So I ordered some bushings and I bought some tools off of eBay. I've got some cutting broaches that I'm going to use to put new bushings in, and I was polishing the pivots, and I had my first wheel in the Dremel polishing the pivots, and I did this side first because there was more to hang on to, and this piece went flying. We found it 2 rooms over finally after searching for quite a while. It was pretty bent up. I've tried to get it as straight as I can, but then I said, okay, I didn't have it in the Dremel good, and I had to do some other things for a couple of days. I just got back to it last night and noticed I don't have a pivot on here anymore. It wasn't that I did not have it in the Dremel tight enough. It was that the pivot just broke off. I should have had it more firmly up higher instead of just holding on to the little bitty pivot. But sometimes that's all you've got. There's not much to hang on to right there. So we're going to head out to the garage and try to do this. This is Mark Munnerlin's video, Repairing a Fox and Grapes Cuckoo Clock. And he talks about how to put a new pivot into a wheel, and you don't have a lathe. I don't have a lathe. So he built this contraption to hold this drill still, put his piece in there, and then this drill he can slide straight into it and make a straight hole. So I'm gonna go find our 2 cordless drills and see what I can come up with. Come on, let's see how it goes. I've got my 2 drills. I'm going to use one to make the frame. I've got some scrap wood I found to put together here. Oh, okay, it's working well so far, isn't it? Okay. You might want to pre-drill your holes for your screws, because I just split this. Take 2. I switched and put the particle board on top because it's not going to split. It's just a bunch of pieces of wood glued together, so it's a little more forgiving than a piece of pine. We get a lot of soft white pine, fast growing. It's not as good a wood as what we used to be able to get. The old hardwoods were better. Alright, so I've got a base to hold this one still. I'm going to put a clamp on it and clamp it to the desk here. And then my other drill is a different brand. The battery's not as tall. They didn't match up. I had to find something that was the same height. So I found a notebook. That'll keep it there and let me be able to slide it in just a little bit to do the drilling. So we're going to try that. Alright, I put my screws in. I took the end of this. It was a little bit bowed up. I needed to make it flat so that it wouldn't deflect my drill bit off of it. And so I have a couple of these from my grandfather. He had bought some really nice ones. I had to look up and see what they were. I don't know. I mean, he was a plumber. He used all these tools. So I had to look up and see what it was online. This side's aluminum oxide and it's coarse, the dark gray. So I wrote that on there with a Sharpie. This is medium grit, the tan side. You're supposed to soak this. It's a whetstone. You soak it in water for 20 minutes before you use it because you don't want all the pores filled up with whatever you're filing. So to preserve your stone, you fill those pores with water, and there'll be a little bit of a surface tension to keep your fragments from filling up and making your stone last a lifetime. So once I filed this smooth, I think I'm about ready to start drilling. I'm going to put a little divot in it if I can. This is a cool little set that I got from the auction. They're punches. They're little spring-loaded punches. So I'm going to take the smallest one. I'm going to see what size it is. With my fancy dancy caliper I got recently. You turn it on, you zero right there. Open and close. It's 0.85. 0.91. Take several measurements. You won't grab it the same every time. 0.9, 0.88. I'm going to say it's 0.9. What we're putting in is 1.4, so if I put a little dent that's 0.9, that should help me get the drill bit started. The older I get, the more light I need. I need a lot of light for my eyes to focus anymore. And when I went to the eye doctor, I asked him why, because once he dilated my eyes and turned the lights off and had me read charts, I said, why is it easier to read in the dark? And he said it changes the length of your eyeball itself and makes your accommodation be a little bit different. So when you're struggling with your near vision as you get older, bright light makes your vision better. It makes your input to the back of your eye be where it's supposed to be. All right. Maybe. I don't feel anything. Try it one more time. Right in the center. Alright, that should be enough to help grab our drill bit. If it does, it'll grab it off center because it's not in the middle. Okay, so this is what I had to rig up to get the heights the same for my two drills. I found a notebook, and that way I could just turn pages and get it exactly across into the middle. So this was the right thickness. It takes a lot of ingenuity sometimes when you don't have all the tools. I've always wanted a lathe. I've always wanted a drill press too. Maybe someday. Okay. Gonna give it a try. Okay, I'm not having much luck. I just used a regular bit because I wanted to just drill out the middle. It's really hard to drill this stainless steel. I do have a diamond bit that I can switch out and put in there. So I'm going to do that. I have had no luck with my drill bit setup. I'll show you why. Because even when the base is still, the whole drill can wobble on the battery. So I've put my wheel in this clamp. I got a Dremel. I started with the tiniest little collet that I've got that's totally closed and put a little tiniest little drill bit to start a hole. The hardest part is getting the hole started. I'm bouncing off, I'm deflecting, I'm just grinding around the outside. So I've started a small hole with the tiniest one until it started to bend, and now I've gone up a size, and we're going to go from there. And it blackened it. I'll keep trying. This is day 2 of me trying to drill out this broken off pivot. I went to the store and I found this. Everything that I tried, the diamond plated, it would just kind of smooth it down. Wouldn't really drill a hole through this very hard stainless because this is such an old metal, I guess. So this drill bit is designed specifically for stainless steel. So we're going to give it a try. Alright, we're finally getting somewhere, so I won't bore you with all of the details, but I'll come back when I get it done. Every attempt I've made to drill out this, to put a new pinion in the end of it where the other one broke off, has been unsuccessful. I've kind of got a little groove in there, but it's not been very successful. So I found on one of the clock sites, I believe Time Savers had the right size one. Mile High had it first is where I saw it, so I checked Time Savers and they had it too. They actually sell these. So I'm going to try to get the wheel and the Arbor off and put them on this clock, on this replacement piece. This is some of the parts that I got when I bought that auction of used clock parts. So I've got all these little taps, I've got these longer taps, and I'm going to try them and see if I can tap it off. Let's see if it's moving any. Okay, I've almost got it off down to the skinny part there. Ooh, but that's not good. Look, I'm tapping on the arbor that's got the pin. It's a pin arbor. It's not a solid arbor, and all I'm doing is forcing them out. Okay, let's go back the other way. I hope y'all are learning a lot from this. Alright, we can tap these back in. Need one big enough. That is not big enough. That is not long enough. Okay, have to get something bigger. Let's try this one. Well, I was able to get one off. I think I'm going to have trouble with this one. This is going to be the challenge. Okay, so that just fits inside, and it looks like maybe they pinged it on four corners to make it stay in there. Let's see how we can get this off. That little arbor does not want to come off of there. It might be soldered on. I used this large tube to fit over here and tap my arbor back together where I had forced the pins out of the end. I'm down to the pinion, the pivot, sorry, the pivot on the pinion. I have a 1/4 of an inch to go before I have it off of there. So I'm going to try this. I got half of it off. Now I just have to get that piece off. So a smaller one should do the trick. I'm just using the holes in this block to hold my pivot still. But I picked one that was almost the exact same size, so it fit down in there. When I bid on these parts, I did not really know. That's so exciting, I got it apart. Did not really know what all these things were for. I even asked a clock friend what they were for, and he asked another clock friend to see what they were for. Nobody was really sure, but I think I have found what they're for, working on these pivots. Okay, so I have the third wheel with the warning pin and my Arbor I will have to put back together. And put on my new post. There we go. That's snapped back together. This goes on here. And I'll ping it if I need to. Which is what this set is for. It has different size little pinging things. And that's the old post. This is the new post. Hope the diameter's right. Doesn't look like it is. Okay, I'm still not there. This post is a lot bigger around diameter than this post. So, still going to have to figure out a solution. I decided maybe I can Dremel this a little bit thinner. I'm going to mark on here where the original piece was, how far up it needs to go. Up to here. Up to there. And then I'm going to put this in my Dremel, and I'm going to use these stones I also got from my auction, and I'm going to just thin this down, but I don't have a way to plug it in and do it here on camera, so I'm going to go thin this down on here and then I'll be back. Alright, I was able to Dremel the end of this, make it smaller. Took my measurer, measured how big my hole was. It's about 1.9 millimeters inside. So I filed this down on a large stone, bigger than this, a more coarse stone, until I could slip it on. And I'm going to just tap it a little bit. And hopefully we're going to be attached. A little bit smaller. If for some reason your pins were very worn, they do come apart. You can replace these pins. They sell something that helps you cut all the pins exactly the same length, but you wouldn't have to have that. Measure your pins and cut each little piece, slip them in, it snaps right back together. Your Arbor's back together. So, I think we are back in business. Maybe we can get that Sessions kitchen clock put back together now. That's really crooked. I will definitely have to straighten my wheel. But excited to have it fixed.